You can't handle the truth. And hath made of one blood all nations of man for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed, and the bounds of their habitation. Acts 17. 26 years ago I read a study conducted by sociologists Kenneth and Mamie Clark that bothered me immensely. When school-age black girls were offered a white or black baby doll, 65% of the black girls would pick a white doll. When asked why they didn't pick the black doll, they would reply that the black doll was ugly. The study ran over half a century ago. Recently, on Good Morning America, sociologists claim that this distinction has only improved slightly. Since the Obama years, racial tension has grown exponentially. The current Biden administration has bombarded our society of accusations of systemic racism and have blamed racism on everything from economy to environmental issues. Does racism exist? Most certainly, always has and always will. Having a bibliocentric ideology, we know the Bible teaches that carnal man is a racist in his fallen nature. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. Numbers 12:1 God's anger was inflamed over Aaron and Miriam's conduct and struck Miriam with leprosy. We know that nation shall rise against nation and people and cultures against each other. Mankind has developed every imaginable racial and defaming words possible to describe others unlike themselves. Racism isn't just conducive to whites against blacks. Blacks in many ways are more racist than whites. The most horrible thing you can be labeled as an individual, group or politician is the word racist. The term racist is tossed about like a live grenade that muzzles many from speaking truth. Joe Biden currently, along with his liberal left handlers, have been utilizing a term new to most. That term, racial equity. Look again, not racial equality, racial equity. This term means that irrespective of intellectual capability or experience, in the fields of education, business and politics, they are to be equally diversified with people of black pigmentation. However, we have people who are black like Kirsten Clark nominated by the Biden administration to be the head of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. Ms. Clark, who attended Harvard and Columbia universities, has written that black people have superior physical and mental abilities. She states that black infants sit, crawl and walk sooner than whites because of black's ability to produce melanin. I have a revelation for Ms. Clark. Dogs and horses and even baby giraffes sit, crawl and walk before humans. However, that doesn't make animals smarter than humans. The information she cites is taken from a little-known discredited black scientist. When we hear many cite the term African American, what does that really mean? Many blacks state that African descendants come from more intelligent origin. The continent of Africa is not a race. In fact, historically it is one of the most diverse of all countries. I have read from those who have claimed black supremacy by citing the Egyptian pharaohs, the alphabet spreading across the known world in civilization. The northeastern African country is predominantly of Arab, Cushitic, Egyptian and very little black genetics. In fact, only 4 to 12% of black DNA are found in those living along the northeastern coastal areas of the African continent. The balance is comprised of West Asian peoples. There is a major difference between the people of northern Africa and the sub-Saharan Africans, not only in culture and society but in physical appearance as well. The DNA taken from 12 Egyptian pharaohs as well as pyramid drawing and preserved mummies demonstrate very little of the black or Ethiopian people. The vast majority of blacks in America today can trace their lineage to the west coast of Africa today in areas of Ghana and the Ivory Coast. For Ms. Clark to write such a biased paper on black superiority is to deny the Human Genome Project by Nobel Prize winner Dr. James Watson and his writings regarding race and intellectual abilities. Because of his writings, not because they were wrong but because they were unfavorable, he was eliminated from his Harvard position and forced into obscurity. Racial politics have people scared into silence and muzzled to hear only one side. This week we hear of Black Lives Matter organization being nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors recently said in a video in 2015 that she and her fellow organizers are trained Marxist. This makes clear their reasoning and writings to destroy the nuclear family. The violence and murders and destruction caused by this organization is overwhelming. To them, all lives matter can't exist. Blue lives matter are not permitted. All that is permitted with BLM and the new anti-racist is identity politics. Identity politics is totally contrary to the philosophy and ideology of Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. King stated, "I look to a day when people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Today's black militant leaders don't want equality, they instead desire superiority. Many genuine black Christians have stated their concern over this as well. In the 18th century, German anthropologists had believed there were 7 different races of mankind. Later some say that there are only 3 races, red, yellow, and white. Genesis chapter 10 tells that the sons of Noah were Japheth, Ham and Shem. The descendants Japheth travel north and northwest. The descendants of Shem were the Semitic people. The descendants of Ham are twice as many recorded as those of either Japheth or Shem and traveled south into the African continent. The African continent is the most diverse of all religiously, from Muslim, the Moors, Jewish and Christian as well as culturally. However, I will hold to the writings of Paul in Acts 17:26 that there is only one race, the race of mankind, created in the image of God, who all bleed red. Regarding racial intelligence, I was asked a number of years ago to present a paper at Oxford University along with 9 others on varying topics submitted by abstract from each one. Mine was the topic of modernity and ecclesiology. After each presentation someone was designated to critique the paper presented. Mine was to critique a paper presented on the topic of Dr. Martin Luther King. The final statement of the presenter was, "We should strive to be like Dr. King in every way." I stated I appreciated everything about the paper except the closing statement. My response was I admire Dr. King tremendously, however, there were areas of his life like all men that needed work. I was asked to expound. I said according to Dr. King's most trusted inner circle, Dr. Ralph Abernathy stated that King was an adulterer. Immediately I was verbally attacked as being a racist. One white woman stood and asked me what I thought about slavery since my accent exposed me from being from the South. I told her that the way she meant it I thought it was straight from the pits of hell. Finally, after ongoing verbal assault, an older black gentleman stood and said, "I would like to say something." I was also part of Dr. King's inner circle, and what Dr. Young stated was true. Intelligence is based and produced by environmental conditions, association in DNA and EQ of emotional intelligence that predicts how accomplished an individual is irrespective of race. At Oxford as well as other educational institutions, I have met and known some of the most brilliant black, Oriental and white people one could ever hope to meet. In politics and life, I could care less the pigmentation of a man's skin as long as his character reflects the Lord Jesus Christ and he or she has proven themselves through much study and hard work.